Bechoros Daf Mem Gimel. We're starting Be'ez Hashem a brand new perek. Says the Mishnah, any mum that you have by a human being, you have by an animal. And any mum that the Torah says by an animal applies also to human being. Besides, of course, those mum that are not possible to be by an animal or by a human being, such as human beings, we don't have tails. So we don't have the mum of a tail. We have upper teeth, so we don't have the mum of the upper palate. Animals don't have eyebrows, so they can't have the mum of eyebrows. And also their nose is very far from their eyes, so they don't have the concept of a sunken nose like human beings have. We know the Torah says yabeles, which is a wart, is by a human being, but it applies also to an animal. The Torah says dak, tavlul, which is a cataract, and a mixed eye where there's a white line that goes from the black to the white, from the pupil to the white, and that applies also to human beings, although it's only by an animal. Why? Because we have Gzeir Shava, Garav Garav. It says Garav by an animal, it says Garav by a human being. So the mum that we have by an animal applied to a human being and vice versa. The Gemara says that this Gzeir Shava is one of the stronger Gzeir Shavas. It's a Gzeir Shava that comes from an extra word where you can't just slug it up, you can't have a pircha on it. Why is there an extra word? Because the word Garav is extra, which means a boil. The Torah already says Yalefes, which is a boil, which is not as disgusting as a Garav, and it's still considered a mum Yalefes. So the Torah didn't have to say Garav. The Torah said Garav just for the Gzeir Shava. The Torah, once it says a chiddush, like we just mentioned, the eyebrows, the sunken nose by a human, so then the Torah went out of its way and said other mumim, even though those mumim, it already says it by an animal, and there's no need for it because we can learn B'Gzeir Shava. Once the Torah says a chiddush, the Torah says other things as well. The Torah says the concept of mumim by a kayin, by an animal which is a bechar, and by animals that are korbanos. Because each one has its own special thing, and you couldn't learn one from the other. A human being is chayiv b'mitzvahs, a bechar is kadosh as soon as it comes out of the womb, and korbanos have a lot of kedusha. There's a lot of different korbanos that have more kedusha than a bechar. And the Gemara says you can't learn one from two either, and the Gemara goes into it. There are three categories of mumim when it comes to a kohen. You have the mumim that the Torah describes, and if the kohen performs the avodah with those mumim, the avodah is possible. And then you have mumim which are enoi shava lezera Aaron. In other words, if a kohen doesn't look like his forefather Aaron HaKohen, then it's a mum. Now, yes, he's over on an asay, but his avodah which was performed with that mum is still a good avodah. And then finally we have a third category called marasayin. It's not the marasayin that we have by Shabbos and other things. This is marasayin, meaning it doesn't look good. So for instance, if one is missing his eyelashes, it doesn't look good. Missing teeth, it doesn't look good. It's not as bad as one of the mumim that we're going to describe now. Shava lezer shel Aaron, the Gemara brings numerous cases. For instance, if somebody has a skull which is shaped like an upside down cone, pointy on the top and wide on the bottom like a lid of a barrel, or vice versa, it is wide on the top and becomes narrow on the bottom. That's Eini Shav Lezer Shel Aaron. If it looks like an axe, or it's really slanting in the front or slanting in the back, or a person whose head is sitting on his shoulders, meaning he doesn't have a neck, or somebody has a really long neck. Those are all Eini Shav Lezer Aaron. There's another mum in Eini Shav Lezer Aaron called Chateres. It's basically a hunchback or a person that has an extra piece of meat on his back. So if it has a bone inside, everybody agrees that's a mum. If it doesn't have a bone, so according to Chachamim, it's puzzle as the second category, Eini Shav Lezer Aaron, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's completely kosher because it's just considered extra meat. A person who's bald, says the Gemara, if he has hair, just one row of hair going from ear to ear in the back, that's enough, he's not puzzle. If he has hair in the front but not in the back, then he's a bald person and he's puzzle. If he has hair in the front and the back and he's missing the whole middle, that's also puzzle. And if he's completely bald, then of course he's puzzle, he's called a bald person. And why is it puzzle? Because the Mishnah says that according to, there's a certain time in the Mishnah that says that it's Eini Shava. And he adds to that as well, a dwarf and somebody that has a lot of water in his eyes, watery eyes. Rabbi Yehuda says that no, Midoraisa, these three things, the dwarf and the watery eyes, and the bald in Midarais is completely kosher. Just it's possible as the third category, Marasai, which means that it's only the Rabbanan. Says the Mishnah, Gibein, somebody who has a unibrow, one eyebrow, and from the Torah, the Gemara says, we darshan from the word oi, even if a person has one eyebrow or no eyebrows, is also possible. And according to Rabbi Daisa, Gibe means somebody that his eyebrow is, the hair is so long that it covers his eye. And Rabbi Daisa, according to Rashi, doesn't darshan the word oi, so he only has one drasha. According to Rabbi Chanina ben Atignas, if somebody's back is crooked and it looks as if he has two spines, because it's impossible for a human to have two spines, as Rav says that if a woman gives birth, she miscarries a fetus that has two spines, so it's not even considered a fetus, and she's not tamei leda. It's not as if she gave birth, so you can't have such a human being. But it looks as if he has two spines. That's a psul. Not only that, says Rav, that if a fetus has two spines, you can't eat. If it's an animal, you can't eat it as a ben pekua without shchita. In other words, it's an avela. It's completely usher to eat. Says the Mishnah, charum. According to Rabbi Yossi, that means that his nose is so sunken in that if a person were to apply eyeshadow, the nose, the bridge of the nose wouldn't get in the way because it's so sunken in. He would, in one swoop application, it would go from side to side. Chacham say you don't have to exaggerate. It's not that deep in, but it's sunken in somewhat. There's a few other psulim by the nose. Soiled means a very short nose. Boila means that his nostrils are completely shut, closed. And noitef means his nose is so long that it overhangs his lip. Have a wonderful day.